and that starts from setter Salesa Elisaya.
And we're ready to get underway. Big Ten Pac-12 Challenge, match number 1. This is Jillian Grimes serving for the Nittany Lions. From the backcourt, good swing to start things off, but it's deep out.
Right away, Stanford goes for that back row attack from Kendall Kipp. We knew that she was going to be a big name in this one, but right off the bat, they're getting her going in the back row.
Grimes again, service to the outside, running the slide behind, waiting for it. Chased and then dropped. That's the worst, right? Angelina Stark, nice block.
Angelina Stark with a great block up front. Watch how far her hands get over the net, and she's pressing them and finishing that block to put the tip down.
Grimes out of Westchester, Illinois, serves for the 3rd time. They have kept them all on Katie Baird. Katie Baird passes, tips, and first point for the Cardinal.
And 3 perfect passes right away for Stanford. That was something that Penn State talked about, was they have to keep the service pressure on them because Stanford is a fantastic passing team.
Cami Miner, sophomore setter out of Redondo Beach, serving. They move Penn State back with a deep serve. And a kill from Angelina Stark.
Elisaya's on the move. She gets Stark a higher ball than we typically see from them, but Stark's able to have all options. You see there's so much space in the backcourt.
Serving for Penn State, Maddie Bilanovic. Again, they are targeting. Katie Baird's passed every ball served.
Katie Baird's passed every ball, and she's nailed every single ball that she's passed. The Stanford team is in system all the time. And when they're in system, they're going to get the balls to those middles, and those middles are going to have a field day.
Back to Wetherington. Such a powerful swing. Stanford takes it down on their side.
Wetherington has such a heavy arm. If your block is not up and perfectly placed, she's going to find a way to use your hands in any capacity because of the strength that she brings from her arm swing.
Cassie Kirshen serving. Notice where she serves from. She will step on different sides of the end line when she can. Kirshen dig. Outside again, thumb down.
Stark is dangerous when she's up there hitting, especially in transition, because they like the speed of it to stay the same. And check out how sharp that shot is. She's able to turn that thumb down, which gives her the angle that she wants, right to the left of that libero.
Kirshen again moves along the end line, serves from the left side this time. Outside, Stark again. Looks for that back corner, Baird's got it. First out of system play we've seen for Stanford, really. Right in it. Off high hands, what a dig! Longest rally, that dig by Grimes, spectacular. Here she is again, true freshman. Gave Stanford plenty of time to get it. Did we mention that Elisaya is a lefty setter?
When she gets going in transition, it is so dangerous for this Penn State team to have. But that all starts with the defense from Cassie Kirshen laying out for that one, and Elisaya, the lefty, goes up. She's going to take a few rips on the second ball.
Kirshen again stays on the left side of the court, the end line for her serve. Outside, there's a hole in the block. Driven right through it was Elia Rubin.
Next serving for the Cardinal, number 9,
Elena Ogilvie serving. Off hands, lovely. Stark is going after it hard.
Elisaya is feeding her almost every single ball. We haven't seen any sets to the middle so far. Even when they're about 7, 8 feet off the net, they're still going to force that outside because they trust their pins and they trust Angelina Stark so much.
Yeah, and Kendall Kipp there on the line. She hasn't given an opportunity for Stark to go after that line at all. Back to Kip. A little further outside, my guess is. Yeah.
Although Stanford's been in system almost every single pass, we've seen the timing with the hitters just be a little bit off. But Kendall kept going up, getting the job done regardless.
Yeah, Kip started off as an outside hitter her freshman year when Plummer was hurt. Catherine Plummer. The service error moved over to the opposite, and Hambly just says he likes her over there. She's just more comfortable. Allie Holland serving, early hitting percentages. Again, Stark crushing. Kip from the middle. Who got the set? Again, Stark.
Celesa Elisaya is finding Stark in any chance that she can. It doesn't matter if it's the front row or the back row. 3 blockers up in front of her. Stark is finding ways to score.
7 swings for Stark already. That one to the antenna. Penn State point. What's going on with Stanford's offense?
They're in system at such a high clip, but Cami Minor, it doesn't look like she's getting these hitters the exact ball they want, whether it's timing on the set or maybe the call might be off, but they're in system, but she's not setting like they're in system.
Timeout called by Penn State. They are hitting a blistering 600 to start this set.
Here we go! Let's go blue and white! You go high.
Marathon has the fuel to keep your engine running at peak performance, because you never know where life is going to take you.
Attention! Did you serve, live, or work at Camp Lejeune? Were you later diagnosed with cancer or any of these serious conditions? Call 1-800-229-9700. You may be entitled to compensation for health problems caused by toxic chemicals in Camp Lejeune's drinking water, but time may be limited to file a claim. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune before 1987 and were diagnosed with cancer or another severe illness, call the lawyers at Dudley DeBosier at 1-800-229-9700 right now.
So I had to quit college to help my mom, but I never wanted to quit my dream of a career in IT.
There are over 260,000 IT support specialist job openings in America. On Coursera, you can earn Google's IT Support Professional Certificate, designed to prepare you for an IT support career in about 5 months for $39 a month. No degree or experience needed.
My job now is amazing. I can spend more time with my family.
Find courses, certificates, and degrees on Coursera. Join for free at Coursera.org. Coursera. Learn without limits.
Angelina Stark, 4 for 7, no errors attacking.
Already 7 of Penn State's 10 attacks have gone to her, and it's in the front row, it's in the back row. It doesn't matter where she is. She's their only 6 rotation hitter, so they're going to use her wherever she goes.
Penn State, perfect attack. No errors at all as a team. Oh, went right at her. I think it was headed out if it had not just kind of clocked her in the face. Sammy Francis.
I mean, when Sammy Francis is up there hitting a ball at you, if it's coming out your face, that's a tough one to dodge. It's coming quick.
Rubin's serve is passed. Asaya gets to it. Outside again. Quick on it.
Katie Baird hitting a shot that not a lot of hitters are going to be able to hit. And that all starts. Elisaya saves it for her team, but it's not enough. Katie Baird is so good on that outside. She's chippy. She's going to hit those shots at the back corner that not a lot of outsides are going to do.
Rubin's serve. There she goes again. If you're going to forget about Elisaya in the front court, she'll make you pay.
You can't forget about her in the front court. And because she's a lefty, she has the ability to go up and make dumps like that you're not going to see from a lot of righty setters. It keeps her in the offense, and it keeps the blockers on the other side honest.
Elisaya out of CSU Bakersfield, set for them her entire 4 years there. She's serving. Free ball transition. Run that middle. Kill. Trammell.
Taylor Trammell, she will get up in any situation necessary. She's so great in transition. See how far she gets off the net? So many options available when she's one-on-one.
Taylor Trammell also new to the squad this year. When you and I were calling transfers, I love that Coach Schumacher-Cauley called them Penn Staters. Whether it's your first year as a freshman, a transfer, or you've been here for a while, they're all Penn Staters.
Well, when you have 8 players coming in, 4 freshmen and 4 transfers, a lot of times you don't see blocks like that. Sometimes it's hard to get those 2 up together. The communication has to be there. When you have a lot of moving parts on the same team, new faces, it's tough to get that communication right off the bat.
Service error, Penn State maintains a healthy 6-point lead over the 11th ranked Cardinal. Bevan in to serve for Stanford.
LSI trying to make a pretty impressive set there. That ball is so far over the net. It's impressive when a setter goes up one-handed and gets a good set out of it. That one's a tough one to get.
Right at the chest, calls for it back and unloads. Cash Williams makes a statement.
High flyer, crowd pleaser, phrases that Katie Schumacher-Cauley used to describe her, and you're seeing that play out. This ball is so hard to get any kind of swing on, and she brought more heat than we've seen all day.
You know, she didn't have the best pass, claps her hands like, I want a second chance. Explosive. Keeping the ball on Baird. Let's talk about Weatherington's block.
Zoe Weatherington, big hands. She has some of the biggest hands that you're going to see in this entire conference, in this entire country. And even you, who has pretty big hands yourself, you put them up next to her and...
Dwarf. She's got paddles. She does complete catcher's mitts.
Playing with mitts out there. It's unfair, honestly.
Here it is again. Now a little out of system. They take it down. With them, Penn State does. Big time focus by Penn State on Katie Baird, serving her a lot.
They're keeping the ball on her, which is a good situation to be in if you're Penn State. I mean, she's passing 45% on the season, not incredible numbers, so they know the other passers in the gym are probably a little more efficient, so if they can try to keep the ball on her from the service line, it might take her out of the offense and have one less offensive weapon for Penn State to worry about.
And if nothing else, she has to do double duty. A very common tactic, right, to make your outside think about passing first. And this time Rubin. Weatherington behind. Bob bang.
Zoe Weatherington bringing the heat from the opposite side in that Penn State bench. They love it. Check out how fast she swings her arm down. That's one of the reasons that makes her such a great opposite, for that heavy arm, the ability to get on top of the ball and swing it down.
Kevin Hamlet calls a timeout to talk to his squad. Penn State hot. Katie Schumacher-Cauley, her first year as a head coach after Russ Rose retiring. That's a big couple of shoes to fill.
It's a really tall task, and I asked her at media days, you know, what responsibility do you feel to continue his legacy, and in what ways does that play out? And first thing she said, just in the way this team competes. Penn State in the past has always been known for being gritty. You know, they might not be the quickest or the biggest, but they're going to outwork you, and they're going to make up for it in different ways. And that's a legacy that Katie Schumacher-Cauley wants to continue on in her legacy at Penn State.
Bilanovic serving, and Penn State continues to hit at a 600 clip. Stanford .091. Rubin's pass to the deep corner. Baird.
Katie Baird going over the big block that Penn State is giving her. Katie Baird stands at 6'3". She's pretty tall and already gets up there as well. Check out her hang time. That contact point is so high. There is not a lot of blockers in the country that are going to get up that high.
She hangs up that high so you can take a picture. Minor behind Kip. hitting those deep corners at Stanford.
Deep corner shots, that's the best thing that you can do as a pin hitter, whether you're on the outside or the opposite. You go for those deep corner shots, and they are tough to defend.
Trouble pass, Weatherington out of system. Block waiting for her.
The Stanford block hasn't been effective all night long. They look like they're moving side to side, but that was a perfect example of a ball where you already knew where it was going, so they set it up perfectly and have 4 hands right in a row.
3-0 run after the timeout by Stanford. As soon as you say it, you know it's just the kiss of death.
Naturally.
We're that powerful, not really. Kirshen serving. Again, I'm fascinated that she does move along that back line, makes the passers have to think about it every time. What a pass from Ogilvy. Conversion.
Kendall Kipp using her experience. We talked about it, her being such a big point scorer. And this is a reason why that ball's coming so quick at her. She can see the blocker so well and knows what shot she has open to hit down that line.
Elena Ogilvy serving. A serve dropped. Run in the middle, block is waiting for it. Again. Starkwood so successful at the beginning. Blocked. Tip, great spot, but Miner gets it. Free ball. Off 1 foot. Well played by Allie Holland.
If you can run your middle in transition like Penn State just did, it makes the blockers on the other side work. They can't guess where the ball is going. And you see that situation, a massive hole in the block because not a lot of middles are able to run in transition as well as Allie Holland can.
Allie Holland did not play last weekend. Missed assignment. Wide open warm-up shot.
Big misblocking assignment. They've been getting perfect passes all day, and the connection hasn't been there. I think that's the first time we've really seen that connection work off the pass for the middle, so maybe they assumed that it was going to the outside, but yes, misblocking assignment for sure.
Trouble pass. Wow, just the explosiveness from Cash Williams.
Cash Williams is hitting balls that are so hard to hit. Most of the time, you're getting a bump set from that back corner. Not a lot of hitters are going to take a swing on that, and she's finding swings that would be impressive in system.
She's a Penn Stater now, a transfer from Long Beach State. It's like you speed up the tape when you're looking at her. She just plays at a different speed. Nice up, free ball to Stanford. Miner sets Katie Baird from the backcourt, never heading over.
Katie Miner made a really great decision right there. She gets a pretty good pass, and there's a one-on-one situation. She saw the blockers go out to their respective hitters, so one-on-one in the middle. Katie Baird hits it in the net, but it's a really good decision on the set.
Holland, I mentioned, did not play last weekend. She started practicing again this Tuesday. That was just shut down. Cash Williams, not here, not now.
Cash Williams did a fantastic job of mirroring that slide and lining up right in front, facing where her shoulders are to shut her down.
No cover possible. It landed about 6 inches from the center line. Penn State's block. Exceptional blocking by the Nittany Lions.
Penn State is doing a great job of mirroring all of their hitters and getting in front of the ball. Salesa Elisaya made a great decision of sending her hands out a little farther because she saw that Kipp was going for the line on that one.
Stanford out of timeouts. They've already used their 2. It's been 5 Penn State blocks. Beautiful back third of the court swing by Kipp.
Same play that we saw a few points back, but that time in the court, because you're in a one-on-one situation, she's able to score.
Ruben serve had some movement on it. Everything she does is at a different speed. Her arm, Cash Williams, exceptional.
Every single movement that her hand makes, it doesn't matter if it's on a block, an out-of-system swing, in-system swing, on a tip or a throw, the speed that her arm moves and the speed that her hand is going, There is not a hitter in the country that's as quick as her.
Set point, Nittany Lions.
Number 14.
Taylor Bevan coming in to serve again for Sammy Francis. Remains set point, number 2 for Penn State. And had it handed to him right there. And so Penn State takes set number 1. What are your early impressions, Emily?
Stanford's a little too high air, but Penn State in all facets of the game right now are doing incredible. Blocking, defense, serve, receive. Their offense, everything is working, and right out of the gates, very impressive start for Katie Schumacher-Colley and the Nittany Lions.
Penn State hit .478, had only 2 attack errors and 6 blocks in set 1.
Careful.
Penn State came out and punched first. 16, the fewest points Stanford had scored in a set this year. Let's look at the numbers. What story do they tell?
It tells me that it's not just about the kills. Sometimes it's about your defense, and for Stanford right now, it's about their hitting errors. 8 errors on just 12 kills, where on the flip side for Penn State, you have 6 blocks already in just the first set. Stanford has to figure out their offense. They're passing phenomenal right now. They're in system at such a high clip, but their offense isn't clicking.
Angelina Stark was fed early and often in this Penn State match. What did that do for the Nittany Lions getting things going?
I think it established that they're going to probably use their pins all night long, which we know that this Penn State team typically does, but it just coming out of the gates between Angelina Stark, Cash Williams, and Zoe Weatherington. It showed that, okay, these pins are legit, playing against very legit opponents.
Cami Miner will start things off serving. Last set, Stanford hit 129. Not anywhere near where they want to be. Down the line. Stark, touch on the block.
Celeste Elisaya making a smart decision there. Stark was off balance on that pass, kind of passing it down by the floor, but still gives her the ball. I don't think the Stanford blockers were expecting that.
Rubin, pass. Kip, big swing.
That connection right there is what we were missing from Stanford in the last set. A quick outside ball confusing those blockers, and Kip is able to use those blockers to her advantage.
Kip only got 3 sets in that first set. Woo. That was a message sent, closing the block well.
Big block, 4 hands straight up. Looked like Kevin Hamley probably got into them in that timeout.
Yeah, perhaps so. That was Rubin and Bacchini on the block. Tough. Kind of caught Bacchini by surprise anyway. Weatherington slowed it down. Miner quick outside. There's the pace that Hamley wants.
Cami Miner has sped up her sets to that outside. Penn State was IDing it really early on the out-of-system balls, able to put 4 hands up, but with the speed of that offense, you can't always get 4 hands up.
Sent well long. For Stanford, after that first set, what do you think their keys are in this set to have a more successful outcome?
Cami Miner has to get the middles involved. We've seen pass after pass be so good from the Stanford side, but they're still so heavy on setting their pins and setting their outsides. They have to spread things out to open things up for the pins.
Campfire from Kendall Kipp. Everybody waiting for her to unload. She tries a little tenderness instead.
Kendall Kipp is able to mix up her shots, and that's what makes her so good as a hitter. She has the experience to know that in every situation, she doesn't have to bang a ball.
Slide coming around. Miner passes the first ball. Ogilvie back to Rubin. Rubin, a true freshman, takes a lot of big swings. Perfect. And there it is, quick again.
quick outside ball. Stanford made it a point to speed up their outside sets, and it's throwing Penn State's block off right now. They don't have two blockers up, and when Stanford is in a one-on-one situation, that is exactly what's going to happen.
Yep, and I want to follow up on your point about setting the middles more. Only 8 sets out of 37 have been to the middle attackers of Stanford.
And again, they've had fantastic passes. They're just becoming really pin heavy because they sometimes rely too much on Kendall Kippen, rely too much on Katie Baird. But when they can get their middles going, the team is really hard to beat.
Start overtime in the weight room in the offseason, according to head coach Katie Schumacher-Cawley, really focused on getting stronger. So strong she serves long.
Angelina Stark, she knew in the offseason, we have a lot of people coming in. She was going to take a bigger load for this team. And that starts with just getting stronger and being able to, put the team on her back, per se. And you gotta be strong to do that.
Little tip. Francis picks it up. Kip from the backcourt. Minor, again, quick to the pin. Ends up hitting the antenna.
I think she hit the antenna because Penn State did a great job of tracking that fast swing. We saw on the front line, Cash Williams pushed Allie Holland over because they said they're gonna run that outside. So you get 4 blockers up there. It forces that hitter to make a decision they don't want to do, which hitting the ball out of bounds.
Ace serve. Do you get the same feeling I do when Cash Williams is up, where you're like, okay, now I'm really gonna watch her arm and see if I can figure it out?
Check out the drop on Allie Holland's serve. Because she hits from such a high contact point, that ball drops quick.
Kip! Crushing the ball from the Bic.
Penn State has not paid a lot of attention to that back row attack. They're leaving it to their middles to try to be in a one-on-one situation and potentially get lucky. Slaysa Elisaya coming in on that one, but they're using their back row a lot, and Penn State has to make an adjustment.
Outside, there's Cash Williams winding up. Francis, boom, she goes. Converted to the middle this year, and she's eating it up.
They moved her over to the middle because she looked a lot more comfortable, and when you're running slides like that, with the athletic and dynamic movements that she is, she's gonna smile about that one.
I think it does look pretty comfortable. Great service pressure from Stanford. Cash Williams, 3rd time. Stanford not letting it get past the block. 4th time's the charm for Cash.
Cash Williams hanging in that point. In these situations, when you're getting block touch after block touch, you have coverage after coverage. They're going to keep going back to the outside, and she's still able to take a big swing at the ball, her 4th time in just 1 point.
Long Beach State had a coaching change mid-season last year. Cash Williams ended up committing to Penn State in January. That high flyer brings so much heat. Elisaya's serve. Baird. High hands will get you every time.
High hands will get you every time. And this speed of Stanford that they are running, they made a massive adjustment from set 1 to set 2 to get that speed up. Kevin Hamley probably telling his team, we have to match the speed that Penn State is playing with if we're going to be in this offensively.
Yeah, and Stanford likes a quick offense. It just wasn't quick enough to start the set. Look like they've gathered themselves a bit now. Block from Penn State. Again, Weatherington, big hands alongside Taylor Trammell.
Fantastic move. You see both of those blockers moving in perfect unison. That's the communication that Katie Schumacher-Cawley said this team has worked so hard on in the offseason, because with so many pieces, that communication can be tough, but they have it down.
Weatherington again.
Katie Baird able to go over that block. She's such a high flyer. She gets up there. We talked about her hang time, but that's why she's able to make decisions like that. Because she's hanging up so long in the air, she can see the court, so she knows what's open. She can see exactly where she needs to place it.
Tremont denied. What a dig by Ogilvy. Back to Weatherington. That's a no.
Ogilvy doing a great job for Stanford of keeping the ball alive. You see her feet were stopped, but she's still able to make a dynamic movement to the ball and keep her team in it.
Beautifully done. Back again to Weatherington. Weatherington new to Penn State this year, transfer from Utah.
A Penn Stater from Utah.
That's right. Zoe Weatherington, a coach's kid. Her mom was an assistant at Butler University, and so she's been in the gym her entire life. Outside again. A little off speed from Kip. Missed assignment and paid for.
That's the most excited I've seen this Penn State team, and when you can run your middle in transition, you get a quick tip, and Allie Holland still finds a way to be up and available. I'd be celebrating that hard too.
Penn State contingent cheering her on here. I believe that's her parents that we saw high-fiving everybody. Minor, nice dig. That's something that Kevin Hamley wants. He wants those out-of-system sets to be pushed tight to the net.
It used to be 5 and 5, 5 feet off, 5 feet in, but we're seeing more and more tight balls like this that give their hitters a little more chance to hit a hard cross-court shot or maybe over the net. That one may be a little too tight, but it's something they've been working on to really push it a bit tighter than some might expect.
1 point game, Penn State serving. To the middle. Weatherington again winds up. When you hit hard, the block's harder.
If your block is not perfectly placed against Zoe Weatherington, she's going to use that hard arm of hers to bang through any block that she can.
Rip those seams. Bilanovic. Perfect pass. Feeding her back, but Weatherington smothered it.
Fantastic job of tracking that ball from Zoe Weatherington. Katie Baird came in on a quicker inside set, and Zoe Weatherington was up. She ID'd her hitter early, which is why she was able to get that play. Penn State right now looking good. Up 1 on Stanford.
Volleyball on the Big Ten Network is powered by Unleaded 88. Engine smart, earth kind. Midway through second set, Penn State beating Stanford by 1 after putting on a run. Katie, the Nittany Lions come in 6-0 today, but this is their first real test, if you will. No disrespect to anybody else. What do you think of this response by them?
It's their first ranked opponent of the season, and this team has something to prove. Yes, they're 6-0, but they haven't played the level of play that some of these other teams that are ranked have played, like a team like Stanford. The Penn State team is trying to prove something. They have a chip on their shoulder, and they want to show that they deserve to be up there.
Weatherington thought that one was going to pass, but Bacchini, extra reach, denied it.
When you're blocking a tip, you have to make sure that you're finishing the block and keeping your hands up as long as possible to get that last second push down.
Bacchini, an undersized middle for sure, at only 6'2". Another service error for the Cardinal.
In and serving for the Nittany Lions, number 12, Kelsey Kirchen.
Stanford usually a very strong serving team. They have not been able to ace Penn State, right as Penn State aces them.
The serve and pass battle is huge for both of these teams. And Penn State, who has been working on their serve all week, you gotta smile at that one. Little lucky, little luck, little skill.
Katie Clark meant to do it. Hit the tape. She played last weekend for Holland. Kip. She hits those deep corner back third of the court so well.
The deep corner back third of the court is exactly where you want to hit. If you're an opposite, if you're an outside, it's the hardest place to defend for your opponent. So hit those corners and you're going to be in a good spot.
Outside, big block. Try to get it past Francis and Kip.
Fantastic block, and that all started with the serve of Ogilvy. Putting in a short serve, gets them out of system, and that block is set up perfectly to stuff it.
That block is 6'5.5" average height. Good redirection by Elia. Rubin block waiting for her, and again, it's Allie Holland, really an impact player.
Really big impact player, and Penn State is so happy to have her back this week. Check out that dynamic movement. She starts going to her left, sees the ball's out of system, redirects instantly, and is still able to put up a solid block on that ball.
Rubin getting blocked consistently now. That's Elisaya.
Elisaya, an undersized setter, only stands at 5'10", but sometimes when you're undersized, you have to make your presence known. You want to play bigger than you are, and Elisaya has done that tonight defensively at the net and offensively, throwing in some impressive tips.
Rubin hitting negative right now. What does she need to do differently?
She needs to mix up her shots. She's hitting down straight in the net, and that's why she's getting blocked by a blocker that you wouldn't think is going to block, or someone that's a little bit shorter.
Stanford point.
Both teams' coverage has improved, though. We're seeing a lot of blocks on both sides of the net, so both teams know because of that, their coverage has to be there. The backcourt has to be in every time a hitter's going up.
Yeah, that last block by Penn State was perfect, actually. Didn't touch the ball, but funneled it directly to their libero. That's a no from Elia Rubin. Just destroyed the plans of Allie Holland.
No coverage is going to get that ball when it's going straight down. Check out how far she gets over the net, turns those hands into the court to put that straight down.
Stanford's service again. It's just not getting them in a lot of trouble. Penn State, they haven't had any aces, but also really reception errors, and they do have 8 service errors. Stanford does.
They're trying to go after it, and against the Penn State team, you have to because their passing is so good, but you also have to balance that with keeping the ball in the court.
Meanwhile, out of system for Stanford, and that puts Rubin in a bad spot. You know, it's interesting to me, that one's Penn State ball, but watching Rubin so far in these first couple of matches, she does seem to really like inside the block short. I'm surprised that adjustment. I haven't seen her hit a lot of line.
She's a big attacker that's going to bang that cross court. Not a lot of line shots, like you said. If I'm Penn State, I'm moving my block way in on her and forcing her to hit that line that she looks uncomfortable doing.
Point Penn State. Kevin Hambley is taking a second, walking over towards the card, then says, what's the call? Never mind. It was that the ball hit the antenna. Instead of a challenge, Hambley calls a timeout. We'll step away. Penn State has come out and stayed strong. 1-1, leading set 2. For the biggest Penn State experience, there's no plus like home. The Big Ten Plus app, powered by Big Ten Network. Your favorite Nittany Lions content, streaming and on demand, plus the iconic games and exclusive events, only on the Big Ten Plus app. Download and subscribe now. Taking a look at the score, Penn State leading for Stanford. What's gone wrong?
It's the errors. They're shooting themselves in the foot. It's similar to what we saw against Florida last Tuesday for them. You know, they had 21 service errors, 31 attack errors, and we're seeing the same thing tonight. Almost an entire set for them. We're only a set and a half in the game. Almost an entire set has been given to Penn State.
Yeah, looking at them, 8 service errors, as you mentioned, 16 attack errors. And against Florida, though, they did pull it out. Fought off 7 set points in set number 1, but it came right down to the wire in set 5. Can Penn State just maintain this intensity and not even allow Stanford to get there?
When a team's giving you that many points, you have to find a way to put the hammer down and close the door on them, because a team like Stanford, they're still in it. You know, they're only 2 points down. They've given them an entire set. So the fact that Stanford's hanging in here with the amount of errors that they've given is impressive in itself.
Yeah, an ace serve there from Rubin. And again, you mentioned it earlier, there are 4 national champions on this Stanford roster that were there for their last title in 2019. They know how to survive.
They know how to survive, and right here, it starts with the serve. They have to keep putting in serves like that, getting Penn State out of system if they want to have any success and try to come back in this match.
Yeah, Rubin has a nice deep serve. Taken by Ogilvy, excuse me. From the middle, Penn State converting back. In transition, they've been strong.
Slaysa Elisaya has done a great job of pushing her middles in transition, but she's doing that because her middles are available. They come down from their block moves so quick, and you see how high Taylor Trammell gets up there because she's working so hard to do so.
Sammy Francis, and again, it looks like a misconnection.
Similar to what we saw in the first set between Cami Minor and her middles, the connection just isn't quite there. Even with great passes, they're in system, but the sets aren't looking like they're in system.
Outside. Cash winds up, lets it go.
The quickest arm swing in the Big Ten. Not much that you're gonna do about that. She's getting over the block, and her hand is moving at speeds that I'm not even sure a radar gun could detect.
I feel like if we show it in slow-mo, it might look normal, right? I mean, it's
maybe,
so quick. 5 kills on 12 swings, not a lot of errors for that 417. And every one of them is like a punctuation mark. And yet more errors from Stanford as Penn State steamrolls towards the end of set number 2.
Even with taking some speed off, Stanford's still making those errors. It's a good shot, but it doesn't have to be that shot. They can take some speed off of it and just find the court.
Kip on the attack line. And again, that's another error, and it's not recorded, of course, in service errors or attack errors.
But her foot steps on that line. You can't do that in back row attack.
Officials are excellent. They were on that. Very high tip from Vicini. Penn State creating a wall along the net. Yep, Wetherington. It's long.
Katie Baird, though, making adjustments during that play. They weren't amazing sets, but she's managing her swings better. She's not trying to take a big rip at the ball, going for those high hands, because, again, they have to be more low error.
Trouble pass. Kip seeing if she can get some energy going for this team. Stanford trailing by 2 in a set where they're looking to even the score.
An overpass kill on the 10-foot line. I'd say that's going to give your team some energy.
Well, it's going to have Katie Schumacher call a timeout. Tuesday night, another phenomenal volleyball matchup comes your way as this same Stanford team heads to Lincoln for a showdown with Maddie Kubik and number 2 Nebraska. Women's volleyball powered by Unleaded 88. Tuesday at 8 Eastern on Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Emily, I know you're going to be there in Nebraska. Let's talk about this stretch for Stanford, this road trip in particular.
They have a tough stretch coming up. They're playing a lot of ranked teams, especially even the last two they've played. They had Florida, Texas, they have Penn State now, Minnesota tomorrow, Nebraska, Louisville, just teams that are historic programs, but that's what Kevin Hamley wants. He wants his team to be tested early on because these are the kind of matchups that they're going to see come December.
Yeah, we asked Hamley, what's he looking for out of this? And he said, I want to know, can we execute at the highest level when needed? Can you? He said the thing that was special about his national championship teams is that they were able to assert their will.
He knows his team right now is capable of any win, but he wants to see how they respond when their backs are against the wall. And this is a perfect chance against a Penn State team. Their back is against the wall. They have to come from behind. He said that we have the talent, but do they know how to compete at this level? Do they know how to compete against teams that are going to throw competition at them right in the face?
Right, and you mentioned that tough schedule. He said he wants that because we're going to play them again. He said, yeah, postseason, we're going to play them again, and so we just want to see it. He says Pac-12 more of a finesse conference. Big Ten is brute force. They always face each other at the end of the year in the championship tournament. Baird, Doug. There's like a missed opportunity on a free ball. Weatherington block, you gotta go back to Kip. Kip, high hands.
High hands is a #1 thing that has worked for Kendall Kip all night. It doesn't have to be a crazy cross-quarter line shot. All she has to do is go high hands and go for that high corner, and she's scoring on every single time that she hits those.
Start denied the first time, second time going for the corner. Good pickup by Rubin. Ball is out, and Penn State sits at set point. They called point Penn State, let's see. And Kevin Hamley is going to challenge. They're challenging the touch on the play. So we'll see, first challenge of the day. Rubin, look at Rubin's face. No, I don't think there was a touch there.
Hey, you just want to get your team some momentum right now, whether or not you win this challenge. It seems like I didn't see a touch from where I'm standing. Not seeing any fingers bend back or change of momentum on the ball. And you're right, based on Rubin's reaction in the huddle, not sure that there's a touch on this one. But touch calls are one of the hardest things to call. So.
No, it'd be a major difference, wouldn't it? You're either tied at 23 or you're set point Penn State. So a lot riding on this particular challenge. And again, if it's inconclusive, the call will stand as Penn State point. For this Penn State team, the other issue for them, really, they're coming in 6-0 against opponents that were not ranked. 3 of their wins were sweeps. Talk to me about how that really prepares you, or doesn't, for these kind of matches when you could be going 5.
It gives your team a lot of confidence in one sense, so you feel like you're dominant. You feel like you're expected to win. But then again, you haven't been battle tested. You know, when you get in 5-set matches, that is when you learn the most about a team. Like Kevin Hamley has said, when your back's against the wall, how is this team going to do? And for a team like Penn State, when you're just sweeping opponent after opponent, it's really hard to tell who this team is and if they are battle tested. And it's tough to say when you're playing opponents that maybe don't have, you know, numbers next to their name.
Yeah, Stanford's only 5-setter was that one against Florida that we talked about. Otherwise, there are wins against Lipscomb, Tennessee State, and Texas, but I really think you hit it. Right now is when the work begins.
And again, this point could be a set changer, a match changer.
Left hand of Weatherington, ring finger.
If we see any fingers bend back, the left hand of 17 in white, if there's any.
Like that ring finger, if there's a chance, I feel like that's it. Of course, Weatherington, as we mentioned, has huge hands.
But is it enough to overturn the call?
Exactly.
That's
it has
the question.
To be conclusive, however much they were able to zoom in on it. Critical moment. Huge difference. And they're taking their time. I respect that, the officials are.
But in this Penn State or Stanford huddle right now, I'm seeing Elia Rubin really look everyone in the eye, really be a leader. She's the one who seems to be talking right now in that huddle, and that's one thing that Kevin Hamley has said has been great, is to have a freshman come in and not act like a freshman, be an incredible leader for her team, holding others accountable than most freshmen typically do.
Yeah, well, Elia Rubin has seen it all, really, in her high school and prep career. She was Gatorade Player of the Year, went to Marymount High School along with Kelly Bellardi, who we haven't seen yet, a program notorious for their discipline and hard work. And she was the one who led them through winning just about everything. Meanwhile, how about Joseph Gustafson, our down official, really taking his time to look through this, knowing how critical it is. He's zoomed in quite a bit at times. But if he doesn't get that conclusive evidence, it has to stay as called.
Sometimes in these long challenges that seem to be happening more and more nowadays, it's really important for your team to come out right out of the gates, nail a pass or nail a serve, and get right back in it.
Gustafson has reached a call, and it will stand as called. Having a quick word with Kevin Hamley. So it is set point, Penn State. Villanovich serving. The serve has to be in. By the way, after a challenge that long, in is good. There's a reason I said that. Free ball. Comes down to Stanford's block. Or not. Zoe Weatherington puts the seal on set number 2.
Zoe Weatherington, who was in the negatives up until that point, she had so much confidence taking that last one. She knows that she's been struggling. She had a few off-speed shots, but that one she wanted to finish the set for Penn State.
Stanford needs to get themselves on attack mode. They're hitting below 100, while Penn State is coming out with fire and swinging away. '20th ranked Penn State came out hard, took 2 sets off of Stanford. Before we get to the 3rd set, there's lots of questions. Hi everybody, Anne-Marie Anderson alongside Emily Eamon again. For you, Emily, what has worked well for Penn State?
It's Penn State's all-around game, but that starts at the serve and pass. They are doing an incredible job from the end line of putting in tough serves on Stanford, and they are nailing almost every single pass that they're getting.
Penn State's blocking has been on point. They've been giving the hitters of Stanford fits.
Penn State has done a great job of IDing the hitter, and they're closing almost every single one. They're doing a good job moving laterally and finishing every single block. Taylor Trammell in the middle has done an incredible job of IDing their hitters, moving around.
11 blocks for Penn State. Meanwhile, Kendall Kipp, the bright spot offensively for the Cardinal.
She has been a bright spot for this team that has made a lot of errors, but Kendall Kipp, only 2 errors on 18 swings, hitting .389. She is probably the only bright spot, I would say, of the Stanford offense right now.
Let's address the elephant in the room, the Stanford errors overall.
27 of them, 19 hitting errors and 8 service errors. This team has to control those and control the controllables, which are those unforced errors, if they want any chance of clawing their way back in these next potential 3 sets that they're hoping for.
Kendall Kipp, a bright spot for Stanford. Who else has been electrifying the gym is Cash Williams. Not just with the numbers, but with the speed and athleticism she has.
We keep mentioning the speed of Cash Williams' arm, but it's because it's so quick. We talked about even a radar gun might not be able to pick it up. I mean, the way that she's able to turn her hand down and get her shoulder working at such a high speed, it's something that I don't think, at least I've seen a lot in the country thus far this season.
Set 3 about to get underway. Certainly for Katie Schumacher-Colley, they want to attack early and get out of here before Stanford solves their problems. I've been impressed with this young woman, and Jillian Grimes out of Westchester, Illinois. She has been passing and digging so many balls under great pressure. Kip, what a beautiful dig, but it's out.
They've started off every set by getting the ball to Kendall Kip. They know that they rely on her so much, and if they can get her going that time in the back row, which they've been doing a lot to start out the sets, this team is going to be in a good spot, but they have to keep spreading it out. They can't rely on her too much.
Statue of Liberty set a little too low. And another big block. Richke Richards.
It's been the block for Penn State all night long. They have the defense in the back row, and the front row is doing its thing. Taylor Trammell getting her team pumped up.
Stanford with 2 players hitting negative numbers. They're hitting .081 for the match. The tip is nice, but that one a little high. Elisaya already picks it up. Looking for a touch, not getting it.
Smart decision by Angelina Stark for going for those high hands. A great shot if you're an outside, but sometimes an out-of-system ball, the blockers are going up, the timing's a bit off, but smart decision by Stark to go for those fingertips.
There's that freshman Grimes stepping in. I love the authority that she has. Rubin, they keep testing the block. It's secure.
And Penn State has moved that block a little farther in on Rubin. We talked about how hard she's been banging that cross court to this block, stepping in front of it to get the middle involved. Great adjustments by Penn State.
Any more questions about Penn State's block? Not really. It's stunning to me that they keep going at it right now. Because there's not a lot of moves by Penn State. Like you said, they moved it inside, but they're not making a blocking move in the air.
Penn State's done a great job of IDing the situation. If it's out of system, they're setting their blockers out right away. It's not, like you said, big dynamic movements. They're just in the right spot at the right time.
Grimes pass. Missed location. Great recycle by Stark there. And then squeezed it through the seam.
That seam I could barely see through, and somehow Angelina Stark found a way to hit it right through it, and that's what makes her such a great outside. She's able to see the block so well, just for the ball to sneak right through it.
I'm really impressed by the recycle, right? The play before, she couldn't hit it, goes soft off Kip's hands to live to swing another day.
Another smart decision by Kip to throw in a tip there. She was in a one-on-one situation, gigantic hole between the block, but she still scores even with the tip right through the middle.
Ace serve, ripping that seam between Kirshen and Grimes. Excuse me, I don't think it was Kirshen and Grimes, it was Kirshen and Vilanovic.
Kendall Kip hitting that ball from such a high contact point. You see how quickly it drops in that seam.
Beautiful pass. Love that pass by Kirshen.
Perfect pass, and what do you do with the perfect pass? You want to get those middles of the ball, and that's exactly what Elisaya did. Her middle was up, available to hit, and Allie Holland puts it away.
Trammell in the middle, inserted in. For their first 2 seasons at Purdue. Net's bouncing, nobody touched it. This whole game being played within the 10-foot line. Back, D-ball to Kip. Stark, wide, and Hambly is fired up. Loves that fight.
The defense out of his team and on the Penn State team, these long rallies, it's because the defenders are able to keep the balls in play. They're getting good block touches, which allows their defense to stay in it, and Angelina Stark just missing that sideline. But man, the defense has picked up in this gym.
Out to Cash. It's a slingshot.
Because she has such a long hang time, you think she's not going to hit the ball as hard,
There you can see in slow motion.
In slow-mo,
Wow.
it looks normal.
It looks like regular speed. Yeah, I mean, it's just so fast. I hope you're understanding it and seeing it on television. It's a whip. And there's a hammer to answer.
Kendall Kipp out of that back row. They love getting her going out of the middle when they can get a quick in-system set. You see the sets a lot quicker than normal. Really good big set put away by Kipp.
I love that by Kipp. She's never going to go to 6. You know, that zone 6. She is going to move it around back there. Trouble pass. Again, as soon as Cash Williams has a trouble pass, you know, out of system, she's going to whip, try to do as best she can and hit it.
If I'm the Stanford blockers, I almost want to wait a little longer because of her hang time. You want to delay when you go up on your block a little bit longer than Stanford is because she's hitting it at the last second, which is why she's getting all these tools.
Grimes serve. Messiah to travel in the middle. Long. Nope. They are calling a touch. The down official called a touch where the line judge did not, and so it is a Stanford point and serve.
All of Stanford's pins right now are going for those high hand shots, trying to just clip the fingertips, taking a little bit of speed off it, which I think is smart based on all the errors that they've had.
Weatherington denied straight down.
Katie Baird did a good job of adjusting and really pressing over on that block because of the speed that Zoe Weatherington also brings to the ball. If your block is not perfect, she's going to tool it, but Katie Baird setting up perfectly on that one.
Remember that Zoe Weatherington has played against the Stanford team her entire career when she was with Utah. Solid middle attack. Villanova back to serve.
Even off the net, Taylor Trammell finds a way to get space with her setter, almost 15, 16 feet off the net.
Throw down by Baird.
Stanford has really made adjustments in this game. They're taking speed off of the ball, but they're scoring with their shottiness, throwing in these tips when they do have a big seam in the block. It's been working every time because you expect that hitter to have a giant swing when you have a big hole.
I mean, the power tip is becoming more and more popular, so for purists of volleyball, they may be like, well, it's literally a throw, but that is something we're seeing more and more, the power tip. Man, this game is exciting in terms of blocking. Huge.
Penn State putting up a wall, and Allie Holland's hands almost all the way face down on the other side. I mean, that ball's coming straight down about 6-8 inches off the net.
I thought you made a great point earlier about that block moving inside on Rubin. It continues to do so, and so far she has not tested line.
Stanford needed that point. They needed to establish their middle and show that they're still an offensive option. So when you get a perfect pass, you have to keep your middles involved to keep that Penn State block honest and hopefully keep them guessing a little bit more than they are.
Stark, beautiful block, kick, just a pike.
It is back-to-back blocks out here in the path. Both sides feeding off one another. I saw your block and I raise you one.
Exactly. Ogilvy serving again. Little tip, Ogilvy picks that up, net violation on Penn State. Calling it against Allie Holland. Next play, Stanford, 5 points. I believe that's the biggest lead they've had in this match.
And they're doing the little things. They're picking up those tips. They're pressing over on their blocks, finishing the ball. Kami Minor's putting in fantastic sets, finally connecting with her hitters. It's all those little things that have made a difference for the Stanford team to go up 5 for the first time in this entire match.
Welcome back. Ogleby, one of the things that Kevin Hambley told us about her is he wants her to cover more court. That last play, a perfect example of it.
Yeah, serving where she does on the far right side of the court, to run all the way over to the left side where she plays defense, and to pick up a tip like she did. She's covering the kind of court that Kevin Hambley wants from her.
Down the service line. Rubin funneled cross court. Stark, that block that was not stopping her early now has made some adjustments.
That Stanford block also made adjustments. They know that Angelina Stark loves to bang that cross court, so they made an adjustment, pulling their blockers inside to get their middles, and specifically Sammy Francis involved on the block is exactly what you want to do.
Ogleby continues this service run. Triple block from Stanford.
Triple block on the middle from Stanford. They have made so many blocking adjustments. They know Penn State is really only going to set their middles in a perfect pass, so bring in 3 blockers and commit with it, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
5-0 run for Stanford. Great pass from Grimes. So calm in her passing. Francis, again, that misconnection, a little bit low, not using her length. She stand and hit that back. Rubin. Stark inside, Ogleby brings it up. Outside to Rubin, she baited them. Blocked off their hands and out.
Salesa Elisaya had to make a really long play, taking an out-of-system ball all the way from her outside and running out to the block. So it was a great identification by Stanford setter Cami Minor of seeing that her front row blocker was all the way on the other side of the court and knowing that her outside was going to have the advantage.
That ends the 6-0 run by Stanford. Trailing by 7 now is Penn State. In comes eclectic Cash Williams. Stark serving for Penn State. Quick to the pin, 1 blocker. Vilanovic, nice job.
Vilanovic, an incredible dig in a one-on-one situation, just stepping into that seam perfectly and finding a way to get it up. Because when you're one-on-one with Stanford, you're not going to make that dig a lot of the time.
Tables have turned statistically. Stanford hitting 250 in this set. Penn State negative numbers attacking in this set. Quick outside, and the block adjustment.
Penn State's hitting negative because Stanford has made such an incredible adjustment and improvement on their block that Penn State's not able to hit around it right now. It is block after block after block for Stanford's front line.
12-4 Stanford scoring run before that serve. Meanwhile, blocks, still Penn State advantage at 14, but Stanford 10 blocks now. 3 in this set. Actually, forgive me, 5 in this set for Stanford in terms of blocks. Cash, off hands.
Cash Williams did a great job of identifying that Sammy Francis's hand was bent back a little bit, and because she has such a quick arm, she targets that hand that's just leaned back. If you're Sammy Francis, you have to get your hands over as fast as possible against a quick hitter like Cash Williams.
Rubin pass. None of these passes are great. You know what I mean? That was a miscommunication, but as I look at it, they're moving all over the place right now.
Stanford's not passing as well as they did in the first 2 sets. Stanford was lights out in serve receive, and yes, this set, although they are winning, their passing has decreased a bit.
Another good chase by Minor, but puts Rubin in the situation where she's not seeing it, and the block is big.
Taylor Trammell emptying her bench on that one, getting her team fired up. That was the spark that they needed to try to come back in this, down just 5 points.
Stanford responding in set number 3. Penn State leading 2-0. Volleyball on the Big Ten Network is brought to you by State Farm. Inside Maturi Pavilion, here is tonight's State Farm State of Success, the most championships of all time. We got a lot going on here in this particular match, two of the best all time.
It's a historic matchup. Two of the programs that have the most NCAA titles in the entire country, and this is exactly what you want to see. Someone like Katie Schumacher-Cauley, it's not new to her. You know, she won a championship back in the day and is really trying to get her team back in there to try to get this program back to where it was. It's something that I actually spoke with Taylor Trammell about, who is new to the program, but the first thing she said about success was this season it would mean getting Penn State back to where it used to be. And to have someone like her, a transfer, come in and understand that right away is so important for this program.
Trammell part of that block there. And again, they go back. Lefty. Tammy Miner stands and delivers. And it's Trammell again, right on cue.
Elisaya doing everything in her power to get her middles going in transition, and Penn State's defense on the back line has allowed them to do that. These digs have been perfect on the money, and Taylor Trammell recognizes it, is up, and has a quick arm swing to finish it off.
First year that Elisaya and Trammell have worked together, as they're both new Penn Staters. Up. No good.
Cash Williams a little frustrated with herself on that one. If you're going to make a play on it, try to get that ball up, especially a ball that's in the net. The only thing you want to focus on there is getting it high so another player can come in and try to play that second ball.
Rubin's serve is deep, passes on the money. Middle. Again, Sammy Francis. Huge block. Doesn't even care. Cash Williams, I see your block. I see it 6'6". Watch this. Rip.
4 hands in front of her, and Cash Williams finds a way to put it down. The quick arm swing sneaking through the middle. Such great vision from a really high IQ player.
Francis new to the middle this year. She wasn't quite square, and Penn State a couple of points to answer. They are within 3, leading, I remind you, in this match 2-0.
Penn State is chipping away from the service line. When they are back on that end line, they are so focused and intentional to get Stanford out of system, and it's been working so well this set.
Tough serve. Free ball from far away. Conversion, Penn State. Wow, just bobbled over. Stanford point. Katie Schumacher-Cauley immediately going for her card.
They got the point, and check out this save from Katie Baird, running all the way to her bench, coming from the front row to keep her team in this game.
Katie Schumacher-Cauley challenging. It was a touch called, and she says, I think not. So there, you can see how Penn State's all saying it's out, and
the line judge
agreed. It was out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the official, I believe it was the down official, called the touch. Or perhaps it was the other line. I did not look at the far line judge. This one did not. Let's take a look. That's in out, but they are challenging touch. Now keep in mind, when they are looking at a challenge play, they can't examine any part of the play that's a challengeable offense.
And based on how long that play was in general, I mean, you could also think about throwing a net call in there based on the net play. But was there a touch on this ball?
Oh, I think I see a finger
I see a
bend.
finger, yeah. A hand in the middle of that seam. You see a pinky, something bending back.
I believe it's the outside blocker's outside hand. That's from this angle, that's what we can see. It's the outside blocker, I'll say that.
This is a pivotal point for Penn State right now.
Huge.
They need this point if they're going to claw their way back in the game. It's a big difference, and good decision by Katie Schumacher-Colley, trusting in her team, thinking that the ball was out. But we'll see. I agree. It looked like there was a touch on that ball.
And if nothing else, it slows things down. But it's 2016. It could be 17-19. We'll see what the official has decided. His hand's up, and it looks like it's going Penn State. It is. Call stands.
And it's serving for the Cardinal, number 4, Taylor Bevan.
Bevan serving. What could have been a 2-point is now a 4-point lead.
Big swing.
Very interesting having Weatherington out of the middle. And Trammell blocking on the outside there. They haven't set Trammell behind her all year, I believe. Not in any piece of film I've watched.
They haven't, because Trammell's so good in the front, but it's this defense of Penn State that's keeping them in it, and they're not quitting on any single ball. Even if it looks tough to get to, they're going to run down whatever they can.
Stack left. Outside quick to the pins. Baird 0-2.
Katie Baird testing that end line, really hitting high shots that are falling questionably in or out, but she's doing a great job of getting over the block and taking a little bit of speed off to really place the ball where she wants it.
Overpass. Stanford has been feeling it this set. What's been the difference for them?
It's been the serve and pass game, but specifically the serving game. They've done a good job of getting Penn State out of system, though they have been lacking in the past, but their serves have been making up for it. They're finding ways to get Penn State out and force them to set their pin hitters.
Penn State hitting negative in this set. Free ball to Stanford, who's hitting .281 as a team. And add to that tally. Unloading is Katie Baird.
Katie Baird has done a great job of adjusting to her own play. She had a few errors that were questionable early on in the match, but she's adjusting. She's taking speed off and just working on the placement to get the ball in play.
Bevan, set point. Cash Williams finds a way. Push. Set point number 2, Stanford.
Number 3, Jilly Grimes.
Over, nice set serve by Grimes. Ball is long, set number 3 goes to Stanford. A response by the Cardinal. They held Penn State to hitting 0 in that set, while Stanford reduced their errors, had 14 kills, 4 errors, and hit .303. Welcome back. 11th ranked Stanford responded in the 3rd set after Penn State controlled the match. They responded with their block.
Stanford's block last set doubled their total, and that started with Sammy Francis. She was doing a great job of closing to her hitters. Her lateral movements have been great all night long, and in the middle, she's been patient and waiting to go up.
Francis is a part of six of Stanford's 10 blocks. Of course, she's new to the middle this year. Sammy Francis is. She moved over from the outside. And it's because, Kevin Hambley said, look, I think she has a bigger impact from the middle. She is so fiery. He calls her a really big compliment. The best slide hitter we have had since I've been here, Hambley said. They've had some great slide hitters over the years.
Yeah. And to have someone coming from the outside, learning a new position, a slide that is very uncomfortable for a lot of middles to hit. So very impressive and big praise from Kevin Hambley.
Francis, middle and high school, hasn't touched it since. Immediately a Penn State error. What's the key for Penn State in this set if they want to close it in 4?
Last set, we saw kind of the reversal. We've seen Stanford be really high error the first 2 sets and then flip it around, and Penn State was really high error during that 3rd set. They need to get back to how they were playing for the first 2, clean volleyball.
Out of system. Kip puts it up. Up and down, Vicini.
Great decision by Cami Minor, getting her middle involved right out of the gates. For Penn State, what that does is it opens things up for the Pins. You see a one-on-one situation. That means that the middle, they can't guess where the ball is going to go if you have Stanford getting those middles involved.
The worst news for Penn State, Kendall Kipp's having fun. She's smiling now, really engaged. Not that she wasn't before, but when she's really enjoying herself, it really can shake you. Such a bright spot of sunshine. She's 6'5" of sunshine. A little heat coming back as Penn State responds, and that's what they're going to need to do, blow for blow.
Blow for blow, and that starts at the service line. That was a really incredible serve by the libero. A lot of movement, and then that sets up Angelina Stark for a perfect no-blocker look.
Baird's pass. One blocker, but it's those mitts of Wetherington.
That was the biggest block on the night. I didn't even see where the ball went. I mean, those hands are so pressed over so hard. Those oven mitts getting it done. That ball was down before Baird even landed.
Blocking is my favorite skill, and it's because you know your opponent has plans for that ball, and it's just about ruining their plans. And Zoe Wetherington did. Kip, quick rip.
Kip did a great job of finding the hole in that block. They sped up the tempo of that offense to the outside, and Allie Holland not able to close that. So Kendall Kip is going to have a field day with a hole.
Great serve by Baird. Blocking, answering back. Vicini and Rubin.
Vicini can get up there and do it too. The Stanford block adjusted to Zoe Wetherington, bringing it in, and it's been paying dividends as they've held Zoe Wetherington to hitting negative tonight.
Kevin Hambley challenged his players to close the block in preparation for this match. Every time, close the block, get out there, and they have been in these last 2 sets.
Kendall Kip hitting right over that Penn State block. A big block in front of her, but she's able to get up there, use her hang time, and just clip those fingertips.
It's such a hard ball to defend because it's taken off like a taxi to the back of the gym. Wetherington trying to tip line, gets the antenna.
Wetherington's had a tough night up front. You know, we've seen her bang a few balls really impressively, but her off speeds just haven't been there. The tips aren't falling where she wants them to. She's hitting into the block, some of them out or in the net, and I think she just needs to slow it down, put in a good ball.
Yeah, she's a part of 7 blocks. They go back to her, and it's still a problem.
Elisaya really trusts Zoe Wetherington back there, going right back to her after she makes a mistake, but it is not enough as Stanford is just having a field day with her.
It could be trusting her, but sometimes, you know, it's just better to find somebody else for a while. I mean, Wetherington's had a bad
Give her a break
hit.
for a bit.
You know, I mean, I love going back to hitters after, you know, showing I have confidence in them, but to your point, Wetherington's hitting deep into the negative numbers. Katie Schumacher-Cawley calling a timeout. Taking a breath, Stanford off to a 5-point lead in set number 4. Talking with Zoe Wetherington. We're in set number 4 here in the Turi Pavilion, and for Stanford, it has been quite a turnaround in terms of their errors.
It's been a complete flip-flop of play for Stanford and Penn State. We saw Penn State, their offense was firing for that first set and slowly started declining, errors started setting in, and it was the opposite story for Stanford. They're having a lot of errors in the beginning and now very low errors, so we've seen these teams completely flip offensively.
Kirshen serve. Rubin pass. Kip looking to break some fingers. Great tip. Loved that. Penn State won that rally with every bit of their brain. Beautiful moves all around.
And Salesa Elisaya IDing that set was so far inside, but man, the defense has been stellar all around. Elisaya bringing that block in to let Allie Holland do her work and shut it down.
That was big after the timeout called. Yes is across the back. Bounce town for Stanford.
Such an impressive set by setter Cami Mino, reaching up with one hand to grab this ball. And Vicini putting it down. Really impressive move by Cami Miner.
Undersized middle, but Vicini is in the right place at the right time every time. Penn State coming out with fire, responding after that timeout, trailing just by 3.
And Angelina Stark going back to what she's done all game, really banging that cross court. I thought Stanford made a really good adjustment earlier in the match on her cross court shots. They have to get back to that, bringing it inside on Stark.
You can really see the work she's done in the offseason on the weight room, getting stronger. An overpass, Allie Holland chomps on it. Penn State playing with joy after an abysmal set number 3 for them. They are as engaged as ever.
And that's what this Penn State team is known for. They're known for their fight. They're known for their grittiness. And I think Katie Schumacher-Cawley dug into them between sets and really said, hey, we got to get going. We have to get the fire back on our side.
A couple of overpasses for Stanford in the last couple of plays. Dropped it right in the middle. Kevin Hamley needs to talk about it with his team. 4 consecutive points after the last timeout.
And that is a play, you cannot have that from your defense. If someone gives you a nice, easy roll shot, you have to have someone confidently call it off, play the ball. Ideally, that would be your libero, so Ogilvy, you want your libero to take that ball, let your setter get that second ball, but man, you can't have an easy roll shot like that fall in the middle of the court.
For Penn State and Katie Schumacher-Cawley, don't kid yourself. There's still a lot of pressure on this Penn State team because of this big guy retiring. 43 years at the helm. I mean, Katie Schumacher-Cawley is only the 3rd coach in history at Penn State.
And Russ Rose, you know, not only one of the best volleyball coaches in the country, but one of the best coaches in general, flat out. The winningest head coach of any sport. I mean, he has more titles than anyone in NCAA history. Someone that, yes, is very hard to follow if you're Katie Schumacher-Cawley, but she's doing her best to live up to that legacy and use so many of those pieces that he taught her to try to instill in this team, where she's creating a potential new identity for.
He was coaching when I was playing at Hofstra, and I remember getting absolutely beat down at Penn State. I think we lost 15-3 in the side-out era. And he made a point of coming over and saying something really kind to me and keep going. I used to ask him as a broadcaster when I went to broadcasting later, do you regret not recruiting me, Russ? And he said, not for a second. I'm like, come on, you could have had this. He's like, I knew. No way. And it was just funny.
Come on, give me something.
He's not going to sugarcoat it for you.
No, he won't.
Never crossed my mind. Okay, all right.
Noted.
What a denial. Penn State celebrating like the match.
Penn State has the energy back in this game, and it's playing its way out on the court. Allie Holland making a last-second save, and her team getting them fired up.
They missed Allie Holland last week, and I can understand why. That one, I don't feel like you're using all of Francis's height. Length.
A little uncomfortable in that set. It looks like they're talking it through just a bit. Yeah, Francis, such a tall hitter. She needs a higher ball just with the height that she has. That ball kind of hit by her ears, but still manages a way to get the kill out of it.
But her ears are pretty high up there when she's 6'5" and
anyway. Still have downward momentum.
A serve for Kendall Kipp in Stanford.
Kendall Kipp, another one of those, such a high contact point. On her serve, it pretty much goes straight down, which makes it tough on that serve receive with all the movement that you're seeing.
Yeah, it comes up a little bit high on Angelina Stark. Kipp going long, but aggressive. She was a second-team All-American last season. And it's really rare to see a 6 rotation opposite.
They need her. They need her out of that back row. They have to have her as an option all the way around.
Yeah, and it allows space for other outsides. I mean, she wasn't outside to start, but still running the pipe. Took that one in the mouth, did Trammell. Trammell, don't touch it, don't rub it, don't acknowledge in any way that you got clocked in the face. Your team got the point.
She's trying to smile it up. Hey, nothing happened. I'm fine.
Maybe she's just trying to expose her teeth at this point to make sure they're all there. Minor, that's a great pickup by Penn State. Can't let it go. Francis with a kill.
There's Francis on that slide that she looks so comfortable with. And it looks like Cammie Minor and Francis talked about how high she needed that ball. And that was a perfect example of hitting it at that high contact point that she has to get it straight down.
Locked up. Penn State leading 2-1. And we are seeing Alexa Markley, true freshman from Peachtree City, Georgia. And Katie Schumacher-Cawley has said, look, I'm not afraid to put her at either pin. Well, we're seeing her now go to the opposite. A serve.
Big ace at a big time from the lefty setter. When you have a lefty back on the service line, the ball movement is a bit different than you typically see. It might have a little hook to it that drops so quickly.
Markley has only played in 3 sets for Penn State coming up to this. Little extra sauce on that from Francis, wagging her finger.
Francis denying that one, putting the finger up. No, you cannot get through me.
Wag. Look at Kipp. She's here for it.
That's what you want out of your middles. You want them to have that swagger with them, to just deny people.
Blow for blow, Baird.
Katie Baird back to taking big swings that we saw her taking in the first set. She started taking a little bit of heat off of her swings, but this one, finding a way to really crush it cross court.
Markley will now be on the outside. Here's a swing for her. Only her 10th swing of the season. Got to be some nerves going there for her.
Got to be nerves, and for Elisaya, getting her the set that she wants, obviously going to be a little bit different than the other hitter that she has in there. So adjusting to the speed, adjusting to what Markley wants is going to be an adjustment right away.
Yep, and they're going to try to make her pass as many as they can. There's a great example of the out-of-system tight set.
Fantastic placement by Stanford. It gives their hitters all options to hit what they want. So Katie Baird going up, having pretty much anything that she wants available, and it's a great way for the Stanford team to score in what looks like an in-system ball.
Yeah, and what's really important there, of course, is that she's not hitting down. she's getting it right off the top of those hands because it is so tight. Great move, something that Hampley's been working on for years with his team. Outside. Big blocks by Markley. Backcourt attack violation against Stanford. Watch the feet.
Fantastic placement, though, from Kip, putting it in a spot where she sees absolutely no defenders, but no, you can't step over that line.
Yeah, consider it a warning shot for Penn State. They now know that middle is still open, and it didn't cost them. Markley keeping it in play as she should. Now without Weatherington on that side, you think you might lose something on the block. Markley doing a nice job holding it down. You're dropping where it's hot. Everybody okay? And the Kip got up with.
Smart decision by Stark, just placing this ball right over the block, especially in transition. Sometimes your out of system or off blocker is going to be a bit farther back on the net.
Yeah, and Kip had that previous one and pulled away when she saw her teammate steamrolling for her. They capitalize now with an ace, and look at that, so quickly back to even.
A short serve, something Penn State's thrown in a few times, getting the work done.
Came right back at Baird. She didn't even need to take a step.
Katie Baird didn't get the first one, brings a lot more heat on the second. Good reaction from Elisaya, but man, Katie Baird, no one's gonna get that.
These teams were tied at 12. They were tied at 13s. They were tied at 16s. Net bouncing, Stanford net, they are now tied at 17s.
Both sides getting pretty tippy right now. They're seeing the defenders pulled back a little bit, especially the off blockers who maybe aren't coming in as tight to pick up those tips, but the tips are working. If they're falling, you're gonna keep going to them.
These are some pivotal points for Penn State right now, with an opportunity to close this match out at 4. They pull ahead in this set.
And I'd like to see Stanford use a bit more of their hitters. They're getting really heavy on Katie Baird right now. They are out of system, but I'd like to see them get a few more balls to Kip, because Baird's just taking swing after swing.
I think this is the first lead by Penn State in this set. Beautiful up by Bilanovic.
Smart shot by Stark going for that back corner. It's worked all night long. That one just missing by about a foot or so, but really smart decision getting inside those blockers and going deep.
Tied yet again. Beautiful pass. And in. Penn State is answering questions today.
They're answering a lot of questions. This team is trying to prove that they can hang with the top dogs, and I think tonight they're showing that they can do that in their play.
Curson in to serve again, doing it from the left side. Tied at 12, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19. Ogilvy serving. Behind, a little spread, Holland for the kill.
Holland getting up so quick on that ball, surprising those Stanford blockers with how quick that she was able to get on top of it and how quick that set got to her.
Cash Williams back in. Strong front line. Remind you that Penn State setter is front row and left-handed. speed. Beautifully done by Ruben, who's been banging away all day.
She's been taking some heavy hits this entire match, so I love that decision to throw in an off speed when you're a little bit off balance, but still placing it in a great spot and clipping that block in a good fashion.
These teams have been tied at 6 times now late in this set. What's going to set one apart from the other going these last 5 points?
One side has to try to get on a run, and I think that starts from the service line. It seems the serves are getting a bit easier as we've been going on because they want to keep the ball in play, but I think they have to go back there and put in a solid serve to try to point score at a bit higher of a rate.
Owen has had a successful day. We'll see how her serve is. Straight to the middle, Baird pass. Francis was coming down, but still killed.
Hanging up there for what seemed like an eternity and still on her way down, getting a good swing out of this ball. Just chipping it inside.
Yeah, she was like, no, 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 no. Yeah, she touched it twice. Trammell, I mean, it's a great thing by the setter. Trammell did the right thing there, but just not forcefully enough.
The timing just a bit off, but really good decision by Elisaya to keep those blockers and that defense honest by reminding them that she's a lefty and she can point score as well.
Yeah, and great up by Kip. Shots fired in Maturi Pavilion.
And that ball came in like a serve. No spin on that whatsoever. And with the speed that Cash Williams brings, I'm surprised Ogilvy is as okay as she seems.
Minnesota and Oregon are playing next. A lot of Minnesota fans in here for this match now. And when that shot hit, it was a collective, oh. Consecutive Cash Williams big points. Oh, it was out. Stanford leading by 1. Bevan. Stanford 2 points away from pushing it to a 5th set. The fans here love Cash. Do I say she's money?
Cash,
get it?
Money.
Cash,
money. Every time she's up there, she will find any seam that's available to just use that strong arm and bang it through. Cash, money.
Locked up at 23. Big front line now for Penn State. Stark, Trammell, and they put Wetherington back in. Perhaps to block here at the end of the set. Outside. Baird saw Wetherington went high off hands. Set point, Penn State. Opportunity for Stanford. Kip, high hands, does it. Stanford going to a 5th. Stanford looking for the reverse sweep.
Stanford has made such a big adjustment from the way that they came out in that first set, and it is paying dividends right now as they push a 5th set with one of the best teams in the country, and it's Kendall Kip to lead the way. We're going to a 5th here in Maturi.
We're going 5 sets. Penn State pushed in that 4th set. Emily, what was it that had them fall just short?
It was their errors, I think. They're playing decently all around from the serve and pass aspect of it, but that set they were just a little bit too high error. Better than they were in the 3rd set, but they have to limit those. And in a 5-set game, when you're only going to 25, errors are going to eat you alive.
So this is 15 points. It goes very fast. Stanford has won their last 5 meetings against Penn State. Keep in mind a top 20 matchup. Penn State comes in 6-0, but this is their first real test. I say they've answered the bell.
their first test, and they're trying to prove that they belong with these teams right now. They haven't played necessarily the hardest opponents, but Katie Schumacher-Colley says she's still trying to figure out the identity of this team, and she wants to see how they're going to play in these 5-set situations. And for them, having their first 5-set game of the year, this is a big chance for them to prove that they belong.
In her presser earlier this week, somebody asked, do you feel pressure trying to take this program over after Westeros? And she said, I feel pressure all the time anyway. There's Stanford applying some pressure, going to Kip right away.
Each time they've been in serve receive to start out the set, they have gone to Kip in the back row. And if I'm Penn State, you got to make that adjustment right away and put more blockers on her.
That's a great call, Emily. The first point of the match was a Kip from backcourt. The set only to 15. It goes really fast. Beautiful hand set. What a delivery by Ogilvy.
Almost every single point that Katie Baird has scored in the last set and now the beginning of this set, it's all been high hands.
Yep.
She's going for those fingertips. She's taking speed off the ball, but placing it perfectly.
Set was maybe a little low. Ooh, not called. Minor. And Baird way in front of that set.
Really in front of that set, and again, trying to go for those high hands, but when you're a little bit off, when you're off balance, when you're coming down, high hands might not be the best shot.
Allie Holland serves straight at the middle. Off hands. The left side of the left hand of Trammell, to be specific.
If you're hitting down on Taylor Trammell, she's gonna block you every time, reaching that left hand back in. Got to be a little sharper if you want to cut it by Taylor Trammell.
Holland serve, an ace to Baird.
Penn State putting so much pressure back there from the service line. That was one key that they had. They wanted to put in more tougher of serves, make it really hard for Stanford, and to start out this set, they're doing exactly that.
Pass is on the money. OT, Kendall, right over the top.
Kendall Kipp's someone that they're going to keep going to, especially late in this match. She has experience. This team rides on her shoulders, so if they're going to keep setting someone in this fifth, it's going to be Kendall Kipp up front.
Great observation, right? Why break any kind of pattern? She is experienced, the go-to, and already a couple of Stanford errors that are hurting them.
We talked about errors. This match, this set, specifically the fifth, goes so quickly. If you're having errors, you're going to find it slipping away from you really quickly.
Zoe Weatherington in will be on the opposite. We saw a change by Penn State in that fourth set. Weatherington back. Bombs away to Kendall Kipp.
Kendall Kipp is saying, feed me the ball. She's been in these situations before. She wants it, and she's going to go up and hit a confident swing every single time.
Ogilvy's serve to Cash Williams gets Penn State in trouble. What a great chase by Elisaya. Outside of the antenna. Stanford regains the lead. Ogilvy serving. They're passing really with two passers. Cash Money.
Cash Money, they took her out of that serve receive because they wanted exactly that. They wanted her to only focus on hitting the ball. So they get a good pass, quick in system, and she is just banging that cross-court shot.
Kipp, any questions?
Kipp again, going high hand. She's mixing up her shots beautifully. We've seen her take some down the line. The last one she scored on a great cross-court shot, but still able to use the hands and mix it up to keep Penn State on their toes.
Kipp has had 4 swings in this short set already. Weatherington got the set back, unloaded on it.
They took Weatherington out in that last set, so she could be entering this 5th set fresh, fruity, new mindset, wants to go up, wants to prove that she's back in this ball game.
Yeah, it's nice to see him set her. I wondered if they were having her come in just to block. She made it known, yeah, they will set me, you need to defend me too. And that opens up opportunities for everyone else. Kipp, just feed the kitty at this point.
Feed the kitty. Kipp getting every single ball. She is someone that this team depends on more than anybody. Has been in this program for so long, has won titles with this program. They're going to keep going to her in situations when there's pressure.
Through the hole in the block, what a dig by Ogilvy. Zoe Weatherington again, destroying the ball across court.
And the confidence that she's playing with, yes, we talked about she was hitting in the negatives when she went out, but she's come back out, taken no speed off the ball. She's up there, she is confident, and the amount that Selaisa Elisaya is trusting her with these sets really says a lot about the connectedness of this team.
And a huge block from the smaller setter, Elisaya.
She's small, but she is mighty. Sits at 5'10", but she's going to get up there, and she's going to put up a block that is still tough to hit around. And that, combined with the height of Allie Holland, it's a really tough blocker to get around.
We're just getting started here. This is 5th set of only the first match of our doubleheader coming up. It's going to roll on here in Minneapolis. 3rd-ranked Gophers clash with number 18 Oregon women's volleyball, powered by Unleaded 88. Continues next on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Score is 7-7 in this 5th set. Of course, they've just changed sides, and there have been 5 sets already to Kendall Kipp. Penn State has taken the lead, and it's been on a few errors. But there you get a good look at Kendall Kipp, knowing the ball is going to her. As for Penn State, though, I can't tell you who it's going to. They've got a lot of weapons.
They've got a lot of weapons, and they've been mixing it up. When they're in system, any hitter on that side is going to be lethal. Elisaya knows that those pin hitters especially, they get a lot of the same production, so she feels confident going to any of them in any situation. We've seen it from Zoe Weatherington, maybe not having the best match as a whole, but the trust is there between her and every single hitter that she has up front.
It's huge that they went to Weatherington offensively, right? Because we know about her defense, but she has just forced Stanford to think about her twice now.
And to have her as an option, and for Stanford to have to treat her as an option, is huge. You know that the outside, Angelina Stark, is going to get a lot of those swings, but if you can also have some kind of pull to the opposite, it opens up so much more for every hitter on the court.
Yeah, of course, Weatherington just rotated out, so setter is front row. Part of 7 blocks Weatherington is for the Nittany Lions. Oh, yes, that's the timing, Minor.
Perfect time to throw in a sneaky dump. She hasn't been too offensive this game, but she'll throw it up and make that other defense work.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Only up till then 4 attacks on the ball for Minor. Bevan serve. Right at the freshman. Wind up and let it go. Stark.
Stark finding the smallest amount of daylight possible. She's done it all night, sneaking it through small holes in the block to hit that line seam.
Head coach Katie Schumacher-Cauley saying, I can't say enough nice things about her. First time we're seeing Quinn Menger in to serve for Penn State. Talk about pressure. Facing 2-time national champion Stanford. Nice serve by Menger. Ace! Quinn Menger, sophomore from Virginia, comes in cold and rips it. No smile, thanks. That's what I do. I love it.
To go in a pressure situation and hit that kind of serve right in the seam says a lot about how much they trust anybody on their bench.
I love how everybody is celebrating Quinn Menger at that timeout that Stanford called, except Quinn Menger, who's like, don't act surprised. That's what I do.
Doing it every day in practice. I've shown you guys what I can do, and that's why she's out on the court. Katie Schumacher-Cauley is not going to put someone back there that she does not trust to hit a solid serve. And it's something that's sometimes hard to grasp, especially as a defensive specialist or anybody on the bench, knowing your role in that situation and just being really good at it. If you have a good serve, hit that serve really, really well, and that's exactly what Menger did.
Stanford needs to right the ship immediately. Where to go here for Stanford?
It's how they respond out of this. You just get aced. You have to focus on just putting up a good pass. Doesn't have to be a perfect pass. Doesn't have to be a three-point pass. Just has to be up, and Cami Miner just has to get her hands on it. That's if I'm Cami Miner, I'm telling them, just get it up the 10-foot line. I will make a good set out of it, and I trust our hitters to put the ball down. I would expect them to probably going to Kendall Kipp out of the back row.
Menger had only attempted 8 serves all season before coming in. This is her second. Nice lefty. That is what she did not want for sure, but she got an ace off this team.
Katie Schumacher-Cauley telling her on the bench, hey, that's okay. That ace was awesome.
Yeah, the ace was great, and it did give Penn State the lead. Cami Miner serve flat, hard. Right at it, ooh. A lingering look by Cash Williams as she powers again through the block.
Cash Money with that swagger. If that block is not perfectly up, she hits the ball so hard, it's gonna find the space between the blocker and the net.
Holland going at Rubin. Messy. Kipp makes the most of it, high hands. Great block. Caroline Elisaya, and then Vicini answering.
Vicini with a quick, dynamic movement. It was a fast-paced ball, but she gets up in the air so quickly. Barely an approach. Swinging it down.
Stanford serving, trailing by 1. Penn State out to Cash. Oh, uh-oh. Right off Kendall Kipp. That's a tough one. Kevin Hambley looking down the bench. He's going to bring somebody in. Kendall Kipp is saying, no, I'm fine. She turns her back. Yikes.
Kendall Kipp is tough. To take a ball
scary.
like that right off the hand.
Right off the head. Yeah. That's tough, and then an ace serve.
Right off the hand of Cash Williams, who has the quickest hand we've seen in this gym, and for it right off the head, and to have Penn State then throw in an incredible serve, you wonder what that does for the momentum of this. It feels like it's all with Penn State right now.
Yeah, it sure is. 3-point lead. What have we learned about Penn State today?
We've learned that they can play at a really high level. We saw it in their non-conference games that they've previously played, but again, not the toughest opponents that they've seen, but the Stanford team is really, really good. So for Penn State, this shows you that they can hang with the big dogs. They are a good team. They put in good serves. They're great offensively. Passing-wise, their numbers are incredible. We've seen blocking all night. Just the dominance up front that they can show. So I think that we've learned and checked the box that, yes, this Penn State team can hang with the best of the best.
Stanford's schedule going forward. Minnesota tomorrow, Nebraska on Tuesday, Louisville after that, before they start Pac-12 play. Running the gauntlet.
Yeah, not light work. Daunting tasks ahead.
Elisaya serving. Rubin. No. Weatherington and Trammell shut the door. They've moved all the way cross court on her.
And an incredible move. They're coming inside. They know she's banging cross, so they have to shut down the cross like they just did.
Penn State match point. Number 20 trying to take down 11th ranked Stanford. Serve is long, deep, and it comes right back at Kendall Kipp, who recycles. Penn State, Cash. Here comes Kendall Kipp. Long rally. Minor back to Kipp. Know where your bread is buttered. It's with Kipp.
The trust that Cami Minor has with Kendall Kipp to give her the ball after taking a really hard shot to the face, still trusts her to put in a good ball from the opposite side.
I tell you, when Cash Money went up to hit against Kipp, I'm looking at Kipp and I'm thinking, what are you thinking at that point? Is your forehead above the net? You know, coming, but she, you know, she faced it, but it's a scary thing. Don't go anywhere. Coming up, doubleheader rolls on here in Minneapolis. Third-ranked Gophers, number 18 Oregon women's volleyball, powered by Unleaded 88, continues next on Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Starting to fill out here in Maturi Pavilion. If you're Stanford here, who do you go to?
I'm going back to Kendall Kipp, no question. You know, she's been so big for you all match, especially in this fifth set. They have been feeding her the ball, and she's delivered. And Cami Minor trusts her so much. She is their big point scorer. She's not afraid of the big moment. She's going to get up there, and she's going to take a swing, no matter the score. She's not going to throw in a tip or a roll shot. She's going to be swinging way up front.
You and I were talking about how this match had been so flip-flopped in terms of who's performing well. Finally, in the fifth set, both teams are really on point. Both teams with great hitting numbers, both teams attacking the ball and blocking.
This is the first set that we've, I think, seen those hitting numbers where we might expect them for these two programs. It's been very flip-flopped back and forth, but this is the first set where it seems like things are coming together for the most part for both teams. The offenses are clicking. Defensively, they're making incredible plays. The blocks up front have been on point and closed. It just comes down to who's going to outlast the other, and that's what happens in this fifth set. And we're seeing Penn State use the motor that they have. Hasn't been battle-tested this season, but man, they look like they've been battle-tested. They do, and they've proved a lot in this match, both to themselves and to anybody watching. For Katie Schumacher-Cauley, this is an incredible performance. They came out, won the first two sets, Penn State did. Stanford recovered, came at them hard. There was a really abysmal third set for Penn State. And for them now to be up, match point. Touches. Point goes to Penn State. And they win the match. Penn State upsets Stanford. A huge win for the Penn State Nittany Lions. And a great start to the Big Ten Pac-12 Challenge. And to come back the way they did, winning those first two sets, losing the next two, coming back in a dominant fashion in the fifth. We've learned a lot from this Penn State